lights are low and the music starts to flow. You feel the rhythm deep within your soul.
Boa tarde ao nosso pessoal aí que está assistindo no Brasil. A gente hoje vai ter um papo aqui com o Jose Aragon e a sua equipe, a Jenn e o Dan. E hoje a conversa vai ser em inglês, então a partir de agora a gente troca aqui o canal e começa a falar inglês. Então, hello for our audience in the world. Today to talk in English, we are here with Jose Aragon, Hen and Dan, the team that made the Ether feature in Sintetica #2. Guys, thank you very much for being here, for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to have you here. So please, I ask you to introduce yourselves. This is a multidisciplinary feature. You guys have your own different backgrounds, so please talk a little about yourselves and how that came to be.
Bom dia, Brasil, tudo bem? I'm going to speak English because my Portuñol is really bad. So, thanks for the invitation, Paolo and the Sintetica team. And as you said, we are 3 members in this collaboration, in this project. And we're going to explain today how this, we're going to introduce ourselves and we're going to explain how this came to life. And so basically, as I mentioned, my name is Jose Aragon. I am a photographer. I've been a fashion photographer for almost 30 years. And for last year and a half, for almost a year now, I've been involved in generative AI. And then I collaborated with Dan Frydman, who does architecture also generated by AI. And Jennifer Lee is a stylist that we work together since probably, I don't want to say what year, that would make us look really old, but a very long time in New York. So we've known each other for a very long time. We're going to say late 90s. We're going to leave it at that. And our times in New York. So I'm going to introduce some of my works. Right now, I am focused on digital fashion art. And also in fine art photography, and I'm the chief digital director for Q17 Studios, which is this studio in Madrid. And some of my work took me to work with some amazing celebrities and fashion supermodels. And I used to go on location a lot as well. I used to travel through my work, and I was very privileged that I got to see and work in some amazing countries and locations, as I said. And actually, the picture on the left is one of our collaborations with Jennifer. We did this for Harper's Bazaar in New York. I can't remember the night. This was a lobby of some expensive hotel downtown in New York. And through my travels, I've been New York, London, Paris, Milan, Tokyo, and this image on the list was for a magazine in Japan. And to continue introducing my work, as I mentioned before, I'm fascinated with locations and natural light. And so the image below here with the watches is for Vogue Yellow. And they were featuring the watches, and that's the real size actually. So that's not been comped or anything. That's the time where we used to shoot slides, real film. So all you see here is all film as well.
Oh, sorry.
Any questions? Sorry.
No, sorry. Let me just place here better. Sorry, your screen was not displaying, but it's working now. Let me.
So which slide should I go back to? What was the
slide? Sure. No, you can.
Okay.
Okay, it's the main feature now. You can, if you want to go back, please.
Okay, so I go back to here.
Okay.
All right. Or maybe here. All right. So I will introduce myself here again. So I'm Jose Aragon. I'm a digital fashion artist, and I've been doing photography for, as I said, almost 30 years. And now I'm in charge of the digital department in Madrid of Q17, which is our studio. And this is the venue where I'm talking to you, everybody. And if you want to see any more of my works, you can visit josearagon.com. And as I mentioned before, sorry to repeat myself, but I was very privileged through my uh, active days as a fashion photographer to work with big celebrities, actors, uh, fashion supermodels, and to go on amazing locations. And that was kind of the sensitivity that I developed. It's just eye for space, locations, lighting, and as I mentioned before, the image in the right is something that we did together with Jennifer and myself back in the days back in New York. And the image on the left is in Japan. And also here, this is north of Spain with Carolina Muller, which is also a supermodel in the mid 2000s. And the model on the right, she was the winner for the fourth competition, actually Filipino, Ronquillo, Charo Ronquillo. She won the supermodel competition for model from New York. And more of my work on location. This is for Vogue Japan, another magazine in Japan, which I've been based for the last 13 years. And Dan, maybe would you want to introduce yourself? This is how we're going to introduce first the team, and then we'll explain about the process and the project.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jose. My name's Dan Frydman, and I run a web design and content design company in Edinburgh, in Scotland. And I originally studied architecture at university and kind of went off in a different direction from university, and have come back to it via AI and have found it to be very liberating, and been able to create quite a lot of content, and it's a great way to get back to something that is my passion. And I found that being able to produce visuals like this is so easy. Originally, it was a little bit harder with 5.2. We'll come on to a bit of that later, but it's it's so amazing to be able to produce things. It's not literal, but it gives an impression of the kind of thing that you're trying to convey, and I really enjoy it. It's great to be able to do such a huge variety so quickly, and it's just part of my journey back to architecture and to see what that is like. Yeah, thanks, Jose.
I'm going to introduce some of your work that people will definitely enjoy. Some of the textures and locations that you've been able to create, especially for this one. This one have a special attachment to you. I know it's your creation, but it really surprised me when you were featuring Yosemite Valley. I used to be a very active climber, and I climbed. I didn't climb. This is Yosemite Valley in California. You've been hiking there, Jennifer?
No, but I've been there. I think that's El Capitan, right? If
Yeah,
I'm
exactly,
not
exactly. El
mistaken,
Cap is
Dan.
on the
Yeah.
left, half
Yeah.
Yeah,
tones, half almost on
El
the
Cap,
right.
half tones on the right. Yeah.
So
and
here,
the idea
yeah,
there was to create buildings that just couldn't be, because you can't build in a national park like that.
absolutely not.
But
No way.
no, just not allowed. You're lucky if you can pitch a tent. But that was an interesting exercise, and it informs a lot of the work that I'm doing at the moment, of things that are probably impossible, but impossible not to build, but from a legal or a conservation point of view.
So
Have you been
yeah,
using Midjourney, or which tools have you been using?
Yes,
Ben?
it's Mid-Journey, all Mid-Journey.
Great.
and let's go to Jennifer. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jen?
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Jennifer Lee. As Jose mentioned, he and I met when we were living in New York. Again, we won't say how long ago. but we collaborated in a lot of work, both professionally and personal work as well. One of the photos that you saw that he put up earlier. I've been a longtime stylist, fashion director for many, many years with a lot of luxury magazines. I'm also a contributing editor at Forbes right now, writing about sustainability and luxury, but also starting to write about AI and its effects on the fashion industry. And sneak peek, Jose and I are having a discussion later about AI models. So more on that later or when the article comes out. But this is some of my work. I've been lucky enough to work with some celebrities. This is John Travolta, did some stuff with him. This is a fashion editorial that I did for a luxury men's magazine. Just a quick page of it. It was fall fashion and bringing all the luxury fabrics and, you know, seeing all the mixing all the different textures in it. Yeah, I helped conceptualize this and then I just put it all together. This was an ad that I did for California Closet. They build luxury closet systems, bespoke, and they wanted to feature a fashion blogger. And she's not a fashion blogger; she's just a model. But they really wanted to make it look like messy. And then once you have a closet, everything is nice and neat. So there was a lot of clothes involved, and conceptually, it was really fun to do. And I think next slide, Jose. And then just some of my work that's where it's been featured. I was fashion director for Forbes for many years, working on the 30 under 30. I think a high point was when one of my photos was featured in Times Square in the NASDAQ, which was like 10 feet high, and that was kind of fun for me. I didn't expect that, but I thought that that was really fun. And then another one of my previous clients was Carlos Santana, who lived in the Bay Area, and it was always fun to shoot him because he always brings his guitars, and he actually has like a guy just to work on his guitars. Like nobody touches his guitars except this guy. So it was just really fun. I have tons of stories. But then Jose asked me to help him with this project, and that's where I'll let him take it.
So yeah, as I mentioned before, I've been doing generative AI for quite some time now, and I joined a community where Dan is also a member. And I came across, I didn't know him personally, I just came across this post, and it was something that really struck me because I never seen any structures like this before. And maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more about this particular set, Dan.
Yeah, sure. I had been working on a set of posts which were an A to Z of architecture. It was a way for me to be posting on LinkedIn every day. And I had got to, in my plan, I had Thanksgiving and Black Friday blocked out as not doing part of the A to Z. And I wasn't really sure what to do. And I had a set for Black Friday, which these were part of. And then I decided not to include them on Black Friday. And then I thought, I can't just leave these ones. These are my favorite ones of that set. I'll put those in anyway and see. You know, I was a little bit disappointed by how everything had turned out. And then these ones are in there. And the image that at the top right, which is one that we'll see later, is one where it has kind of a playing with cardboard and clay and copper, all kind of mixed up. And it was a great image. But then I thought, well, that's it. And it didn't get, the next day, it didn't get many likes. It was there, and then it was on to the rest of the series, and I didn't think much of it after that. And then about 10 days later, I got a comment on it.
And so this is my comment. These beautiful spaces, I want to shoot there. And one of the things that I quickly realized when I was learning about AI, my first day in front of a computer and using a generative tool is I didn't know anything about AI, but I had a lot of experiences. And what were my experiences? I knew locations, I knew designers, I knew models. So I knew lenses and cameras. So I thought that could be part of my prompt. By prompting, I was a little bit I got to a point where what was lacking in some of my creations were some of the unusual spaces that I was able to shoot, and this was a great opportunity. So I commented and then approached Dan, and he was really kind, because when I asked him if I could use his photo, sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. If I could use, and this comes from being a photographer, if I could use his image as inspiration for my models to create a sort of editorial, he offered, "Would you like my prompt?" And I said, "No, no, no. I don't need your prompt. I respect the privacy of your creation. I just want to be inspired by such an amazing space." I know that the community, some people are really open and they want to share the prompts, and they're very free about it, and they create themes around some particular prompt, and everybody contributes. But I felt that as an artist, I wanted to honor his privacy, and I didn't want the prompt. I just wanted to create something that it was inspired, also for me to be able to create my own image. So basically, a prompt was whatever the prompt was, and I wanted to go for a ratio of 16.9, and then at the time it was only available of version 5.2. So we're going to move forward, and basically one of the ways to not use the prompt but use the image is actually extracting the URL, right? We're all familiar with this method, but basically, and since we're talking to a lot of Brazilians, everybody will recognize Giselle Bunsen. I'm using her instead of your your image. I think it's more exciting to get her link. Anyway, Paolo, you have a number by any chance? Do you remember?
Excuse me, if I matter?
Yes.
No, not in person. No,
Okay.
I had to check.
So basically, what I did, I copied the link from the image, and then I started working from there. And I'm sure everybody knows how to extract the URL from an image. Everybody that is familiar with Midjourney, and I'm going to walk through some of the steps that I took. So basically, this is my version 5.2. Some of my settings. But what is interesting about this prompt is that I used, at the time, this version had a feature called Tune, which gives you personalized style. And that was key to develop some consistency back then. Now we have a different way to do it. But last year, end of the year, we are still in version 5.2. So I tuned, and then you create a prompt, and that prompt will give you a personalized style that has 10 digits, and that you use at the end of the prompt. So basically, my prompt will look like image URL, then I describe my subject, what is the situation my subject is on, what is the location, time of the day, the mood, the camera angle, camera type, lens, a bunch of parameters. You can personalize as you like, but this is my basic structure. And then at the end, once I have all my parameters, I will copy paste the style given that I chosen from tuning my image. So I think that's very clear. And so these were my first generations. Actually, some of the images were a little bit closer to the architecture, and some of it were picking the architecture itself and blending in with the model. So I found this interesting, but I wasn't satisfied. So I creating images, and I think I came up around 300, and then I kept conversing with Dan to just get some feedback, because I started generating, and then I thought, where is this going? Where is this taking me? I think this is growing in a way that I wasn't expecting it. And then I didn't want just to post this and leave them on a post on the internet or in LinkedIn. So before that, I'm gonna go. Dan gave me some pointers, but at the time, I was mostly prompting alone and just getting some feedback on some direction with the images. But it got to a point where the volume was so high that I needed some help. And that's when, after talking to Dan and some of the direction that he gave me, I called Jennifer, and then I asked her for some help editing, because one of the problems that one has with, especially this generative AI, is that this iterating or recreating something is very impulsive and endless. So I end up with a lot of images that I didn't know how to handle, and I needed a direction. So that's when Jennifer came in, and he has cut down some of my images, but also she was able to give me some new direction with them. And then she introduced me to the work of Benjamin Shine as well. So maybe you want to talk more about this inspiration, Jennifer?
Yeah, thanks, Jose. Yes, as Jose mentioned, he needed some help in editing down these images. And as you all know, as he mentioned, you can just keep reiterating and reiterating, and then you don't see the trees from the forest anymore. So he gave me a set of these images, and I started to see particular themes in sort of what I did as a fashion director. I can see like particular themes, and also having worked with Jose previously, I kind of understood what he was going for. And so I kind of started to group some of the images that could potentially make it into a story, an editorial story. And I started to introduced him to this artist, Benjamin Shine, whom I've been following for a few years now. And he does all these beautiful sculptures with this fabric that it's transparent, it's sort of an illusion, but he does it just with an iron, but it seems like there's form but not form. It's almost like a cloud. And I thought that kind of inspiration could do well with what Jose was trying to do, because at that point it was like models and the architecture, but it needed an extra layer to really tell the story a little bit better and to tie in the whole thing together. So I introduced him to Benjamin Shine, and and as you can see in some of the images, you can see some of his inspiration there with Jose and the usage of his sort of tool ghosting silhouettes that Jose used in some of his images.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So this is the new interaction with the images and the new inspiration. And a lot of people use weight, but I was just able to translate the image directly with no manipulation of the parameters. So, and I also, interesting enough, I came out with, as you can see, the inspiration, and it kept giving me some results that were different from where I was originating before. So I was very satisfied with how the new direction was going with the new prompting. And as I said, also the lighting, but also something that I was new to is for those familiar with Midjourney, is very sensitive to certain words like transparency, skin, or and is very quick to ban you from prompting something that you might consider safe, but the community will not consider safe. So, and then some of the images we got out of this the prompting gave me also a new edge and new direction. I started seeing transparencies and new metaphors with the imagery created, and also the analogy between the materials and what the models were wearing, and the new direction also. So I was surprised, and I think that gave me another turn into my creative direction. But also that came with a lot of things that I had to reject. And for those who are familiar with Midjourney, I actually start with a small format, and then I pan either right or left. But we don't know what's left or right. What is right or left. We cannot see it. we can maybe prompt it or manipulate it, but this is what is called hallucinations. And some of it was in the context of what I wanted to create. It wasn't related, but now going back, I think some of it is fascinating and usable. Again, if you see what the models are, because I was using certain keywords, the fashion was coming in a way that it was unusual for me, unseen before. So this is something that came out of panning right, and so I wouldn't use this image. But I'm just showing this as an example compared with the one before that. Some of it can be beautiful and evocative, but some of it maybe might not work. And also, this image is also quite fascinating because I start getting all these different objects flying or floating in the air, which is related to the theme, but in that moment, I didn't think that it was related. Now going back, it's possible that this could be included. I think when you're so close to your own work, then sometimes you don't have perspective. And now looking back, I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is maybe interesting. So this is some of the hallucinations and rejects that we have to pull out, and then I didn't end up using.
Okay, Jose, and one question. And your goal was to use images that were solely generated in Midjourney. You didn't want to manipulate them in Photoshop or anything. It was like a goal to, this is what I can get from Midjourney?
That's a very good question. At the time, I wasn't using Firefly. I didn't know that actually that existed. That nowadays is fully integrated in my work, and so when I don't get, I integrate all kinds of tools in my work right now, but definitely generative fill from Photoshop is one. Definitely another bullet to my gun, absolutely, because sometimes you can't, and this is what I keep telling to other artists and some of my students when I've been teaching AI, that Midjourney won't give you everything you want, so you need to reiterate with all the tools, but also with prompting, and I wouldn't dare to say engineering, but manipulating the parameters, I think you can get close to what you want. And if there's something that you get, but you think, oh, okay, how do I blend this image with something else? Then I will just go to Photoshop, mask it out. Because very regional in painting is very stubborn sometimes, and it doesn't work. So I guess my last resort and my last frontier to experiment is definitely AI Photoshop, for sure. Yeah, but at the time I didn't know how to use it. I didn't even know. I heard about it, but I thought, okay, I have the last version, but then maybe I have to pay for it. I wasn't aware of it. Something that I want to also interesting enough that I found interesting about the work from and a different approach and different visual or vision, I guess, is Dan always works with square format. And for me, square format is in a way, I'm more cinematic. I'm more, I like
To
the
be fair,
images.
Jose, it's a bit of a mixture, but I think most of the items were 3:2, but you like
Okay.
69.
All right, but at least my impression was like most of it was square-ish. So I actually asked and I challenged, and I also asked permission to Dan to produce some 16:9 images to go with the sets as well. So this is some of his own creation to blend and to go with the story of my format. And this is what you've seen in the publication from Sintetica. So we've seen the evolution. We went from very simple images, models standing against a plain background. We've seen the models with the teal floating and transparency. One thing that I want to say, most of my images don't have hands, or mostly cropped. and very little of the images that I produce, there's a full shot of a model, and it makes a lot of sense because hence we're still a problem even with version 5.6. So, but I was getting these beautiful silhouette shapes and bare shoulders of this female that I thought it was very attractive, and blend with the mixture of transparency as well. So there's the teal element as well with mixed with the architecture. Another very intriguing image as well. So there's a variation as well here, and there's different themes within the same realm of, because what I wanted to create was how these models or these females will coexist. I imagine the architecture was a labyrinth, and so they're going through these passages and how they interact with the space and light and the composition. So this where you publish were only a few examples of the inspiration where, so my exercise wasn't really about reflecting accurately the architecture, was only an inspiration and a background. So, but definitely some of the features in the architecture were coming out very clearly as well. So, and even with the fashion as well, because as much as we want to believe that you can control the generation, it's pulling from the logarithm is pulling information from many angles. So sometimes it might be translated in the fashion, sometimes might be translated into the architecture itself. So, and this is probably one of the earlier images as well that I was really very happy about in this direction where we get these materials and transparencies as well. So as you can see, Jennifer mentioned it very well before, there was themes within the theme because the aesthetics were ruling different compartments, right? Another example of, this is something that I have to actually get Dan's help. I'm not ashamed of, I'm not shy of asking him, because I saw some of his images where he was getting this sort of top-down view, and I was prompting the camera angle, but I wasn't getting any of it. I was prompting bird's eye, I was prompting aerial, I was prompting a lot of different things that will force the prompt to give me a different angle, because all I was getting it was straight on. And this image came out after Dan gave me a hint. I can't remember what was the word exactly, but there was a couple keywords that I was able to prompt, and then turn the camera angle, even though I wasn't able to do it before. So this is a good example also how prompting can and keywords can affect your final image. Do you remember Dan having this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really pleased when I found out how I could get it done, and the opposite as well. So it was aerial top-down view against, and then whatever the floor is supposed to be,
Right.
or the ground, and then the opposite was view from underneath against a blue sky. So it's
Yeah, right.
it would, but I was trying to get it, and it wasn't working for me until I used the Midjourney Describe feature, and then I used all the commonalities of the things that were actually working there and brought it together, and then suddenly it was working. I'm thinking, oh, it was really stupid of me not to have used that to start off with, but it got the result, and I was really pleased that you were able to use it as well.
Yeah, because as I said, my images were all coming kind of from the same angle or a little bit sort of that angle, but I wasn't able to see the floor, and I wanted my models to sort of lay down, and I wasn't able to reproduce it. So it was only, and I think this is what is interesting with the collaborative effort. Everybody brings something, and I think we work great as a team. Everybody had a different input, and we got really nice results. Okay, so we want to talk about the future of Ether. So we've seen some posts in LinkedIn. I haven't really burned the images. I've been very careful exposing them. Today is this audience gets to see a lot more than I would like to see or show actually normally, but you've seen a little bit of the evolution. And thanks for giving us the chance to walk through the process. But there's a lot of material, and the end goal will be to have a luxury coffee book. But we're still in the editing process and designing process. So we want this to, as I mentioned before, my conversations with Jennifer and Dan, that I didn't want these images just to live in the internet. I wanted to be able to be a little bit more tangible, because the way it was growing, it was a little bit beyond what I expected. Oh, is this going to be just another regular update on my LinkedIn wall, right? So, Jennifer, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So, and why ether and why women and why architecture? I think it's a very interesting juxtaposition of the female body. And also, if you've seen some of my early work as a photographer, I always wanted to celebrate whether it was a particular subject, but for women in particular, I always want to emphasize the beauty and make them comfortable to a point where we can create something that is intimate. And so being able to translate that into AI for me has been a very interesting process, because I evolve with the tool. I don't change my style, and that's kind of been the growing experience and adventure. So, as I said, Ether wants to celebrate the female strength and the interplay of space and form through contemplative journey within architectural maze, enhanced by transparent overlays. So that's kind of what this body of work encompasses and embodies, right? That we want to celebrate the female beauty and not, I guess, more in a Zen way, more in a contemplative way. And I think we are just almost ending the last slide. I have to say this is interesting, and I want to comment on this because I've been prompting with different ethnicities in my images. So you see Asian, you see Caucasian, and you see a lot of mixes. You see Black, but also this prompt is actually with version 6. So what I did, I've remixed the prompt, and this is a new generation and reiteration. It doesn't have all the elements, I think, because I lost the personalized style, that gave me the consistency. But I have to include, for future reference, I have to actually include more of because now we have version 6, which has character reference, character weight, a style reference, and a style weight. So I think this is a kind of a starting point and a new beginning for me to play with those elements. But this is a very nice and raw image produced with the latest version related to the theme. And I thought also this is kind of a personal tribute to Brazil. I've never been to Brazil, but I imagine there's some woman being in Brazil. And we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to the Sintetica team, from Jose, Dan, Jennifer, and for this chance that you're giving us to present the Ether project. And also, quickly, just a quick note, I want to introduce, this is also very interesting for all AI creators. I've been collaborating, actually uploading my images with this company. It's called Safe Creative. And basically what they do is they preserve your copyright. And I think that's a very big issue nowadays with anything. They do all kinds of copyright, so it's not that only AI or art. So if anybody's interested, please visit Safe Creative as well, and because this project will be it is in the process of being copyrighted. So so I don't know if we have time for questions or the audience wants to jump in or anybody that you guys want to add on. Dan, Jennifer.
Yes,
I just
please,
wanted to
guys.
say it's been an amazing experience to see the development of something from, I guess, from my side, something that I consider to be a bit of a reject, that was then picked up and used so creatively and so extensively as well. That it's been fascinating to see the development and really a privilege to be involved as well.
Thank you.
Yes, I sort of want to echo what Dan just said. When I came into this project, I didn't know Dan, and I saw the architecture portion of it, but I didn't understand Jose Dan's piece of it. I only got my portion of it, right? So I didn't realize there was a lot of things happening in the background even before I came along. And to see it come to fruition in this very harmonious way, but also just meeting Dan and working with Jose in a very different capacity than we had before previously.
Right.
Since when we used to work together, it was he and I, and then we had a team. But now that we have now that he introduced me to Dan as an equal partner, it's just makes the whole collaboration that much richer. So thanks, Jose, and thank you, Paulo, for allowing us to speak on our process.
Oh, no problem. We thank you guys for getting together. Each one is basically in a different part of the world. So just the fact that we are able to be here all together is awesome. The work is fantastic. I imagine that you have like tons of more images.
Yes.
He does.
So, are you at this point aiming to let's say a certain number of pages for the book? Are you still working on it, or but I guess that you must have like really tons of images.
So I think because I just discovered the new tools with version 6, I think I'm gonna explore a little bit more, but I think it will be more of a rerun, and I think also the work now I think is more about editing. I don't want to create. I'm gonna experiment a little bit, but I don't think I want to create more than I have because I think it's more than enough. And maybe as I said, I want everybody, all ethnicities to be represented. So if there's anything lacking that I have, or angles that I might not have, it will be more specific. But I think now it's time to edit it down. And then if there's something specific that we think that we're missing, then create. But I think there's enough volume to create something unique. So
Great. And apart from what we have seen in Sintetica, have you posted more images from either somewhere else in your own personal Instagram accounts or something like that?
not really. As I said, I don't want to burn them too quickly.
Okay.
And so there's one post on my website announcing the book. I mean, but apart from that, I'm filtering this body of work because I don't want it to be exposed. And you guys are very lucky that you had some of the insides of it, but not really. I'm not interested in showing it as just yet as I want to show it in its full glory. And so once it's ready, then it will be shared. But till then, I'm not interested, as I said.
Okay, no, great. So we thank you for the exclusivity, and we were very pleased with the idea because initially we were going to have the three editors of Sintetica. We were going to have a feature in which we would collab, but we didn't manage to get the idea, to get the time. We didn't really manage to get it to happen. And when I invited you, you asked me, oh, so would you mind if the images they are done with other people? I said, no, no problem. We were actually thinking of doing some kind of collab here, and the result of what you presented us was so amazing, and it was so clear that it was the work of more people.
Right.
You could see the fashion influence, the architecture influence. Then when
The
we were,
photography.
it was going to be featured in the Galleria, which is the gallery, which is let's say a not so premium space in the magazine. But when we were looking, where we were going through the images, we thought, well, we can't cut this. They are made to be like this, and we wanted to give them the proper space. So it was very fortunate that your collab ended up starting a new.
I know, I know. Because I remember this conversation very clearly. I asked you because you were calling for artists, and I said, "Well, I have this collaboration that I want to maybe just spark an interest in a conversation, and then I don't know, maybe decides to fund the project." But definitely, I was very surprised that you told me, "Oh, we have a space," as you said. You mentioned we're going to have you in the back, and then I made it in the front, and I ended up being a collaborator in the issue. So, so it's great for the team. And as I said, it's also this is great that we're able to. But it's very interesting to have also this talk, because then it makes you think about the process, and you're doing it because it's not to be able to explain it. And I mean, for us it was very clear, but it has to be even more clear when you have to explain it to somebody else, right? That
Yeah.
that the objective was, okay, this is what we have, these are the elements, and we knew how we were, what parts of the puzzle were each moving. But then now I have to put a deck for you guys, and I'm thinking, okay, this needs to be clear. And Jen and Dan were calling out things that were missing, because it needed to be a little more explained. So I think we keep collaborating. I think this is great. I think we don't have so much egos when it comes to like what we want to communicate. So
Well, that's great. And there is something that I would like to ask you, and it is not, in this case, directly related to the ITER project, but for each of you guys, how the industry that you are directly working on amongst your peers, how they are seeing AI, because it's a very polemic topic. Some people hate it, some people love it, and in each of you guys industries and peers, how is it going?
Jennifer, you want to start?
Sure. It's funny you asked, Paolo, because I was having this conversation with another artist the other day there. And I think it depends on what their role is, especially in fashion. There's so many roles. There's designers, there's business people. Also, on the creative side, there's creative directors, photographers, hair and makeup people. A lot of the more creative people, creative directors and fashion designers, they're completely embracing it. I think there's still a lot of regulations that we still have to consider, and new regulations are coming out every single day. So we're trying to keep up on top of that to not offend, and also, models' images and all that kind of stuff. It's very important that we address that. But then there's also some of the other people who are, maybe the makeup artists and things like that. They don't like it. They feel that they're going to be out of a job, and my conversation to them was that, well, then you're going to be left behind because it's here. Like, if you're not on it, you're behind already. So I've also been speaking with marketing people and ad agencies and stuff. And I actually have a family member who's actually heading their entire AI program into all their client conversations. And this is a huge ad agency in New York, global ad agency. And so there are conversations, and it's getting there. I think it's slow, but I think it's getting there. And it's really exciting. And I think in fashion also, there's such an active community on LinkedIn. There's like the fashion metaverse, there's that AI, they call out for competitions, and it is so active that, and also kind of addicting too, that you just kind of want to keep up. I mean, fashion people in general are very competitive, so you just want to keep up with everybody and you don't want to be left behind. So it's an incredibly exciting time, at least for me and my role in what I do. And I also use ChatGPT for my writing stuff too. I mean, just to get some ideas. So AI has actually also snuck into my life in a very, very good way. Thanks to Jose for introducing me to AI.
Great. Dan, uh,
I think I can speak on two fronts. Firstly, on the web and content side, obviously you can create a huge amount of content very quickly with something like ChatGPT and with Midjourney as well, and with the increased fidelity of it. I think 6 months ago, people would say, no, I don't want to use it. And I certainly worked with clients who would say, no, it's not quite right. And there are things that look strange, and we would spend more time trying to edit it than to use it. And now they're all over us saying we want to use it, and how can we do that? And even, I think, speaking to your point, Jennifer, as well, of the people who are involved in photography or involved in stylistic work, what you can find is that we can say, we can do this for you, but it's as a brief. It's like it's the creative brief for you to go off and do the work that you would do anyway, but it just speeds up that process. And what I'm seeing is the ability to speed up the normal briefing, creative directing process that we would normally do, but would take a long time or would be very painful to do with a client, or with trying to work out when they say, we'll know it when we see it. We're able to shortcut that with the AI. And I think that then works over into architecture as well, because a client who is looking to commission a building is uncertain about what is possible. But if an architect can produce quite a lot of visuals based on their own work or based on what the client wants very quickly, it speeds up the whole process. And I think that's what AI is great for. It speeds up not just the ideation process, but also all of our processes. And that's very exciting.
yes.
So for me personally, I have to say with no filter that AI has saved my creative life as a photographer. It has taken me to places where I didn't think that it was. I think I was one of the early adopters in Spain, and then at the beginning, everybody was flat out rejecting AI, and it's still rejecting. There's a little pushback, but I kept going, and now I has built a name as a creator, fashion related images and this content, and I'm there's so much adrenaline rush about creating now. I'm using a computer, but before I was using a roll of film, then I was using a digital camera, and now I'm using a computer. So the format was just changed, but I think the essence is still the same. It's true that we're moving into a very interesting territory. Just recently, the European Union passed an act where brands have to identify the usage of AI to the customers, and also there's going to be a lot of more protections for models IPs as well, and general IPs. And where before all these generative tools were a little bit of a wild west, you were very quick filter and banned from using anybody who's recognizable as a figure, as a model, as a talent. If the system detects certain face with certain name, it will block you. So I think the developers of the tools are becoming a little more aware how to protect the IPs and not be called up or call out in how somebody can create something that is already copyrighted. So I think, as Jennifer mentioned, there's going to be a lot more regulation. There's going to be more democratization of the tools. We're already seeing it, and I think it's going to be a very interesting time when who's going to be the best of doing it, not necessarily because they're best of using the tool. Is how do they promote themselves using the tool or the results of the tool, right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of different fields using AI and coming up with amazing stuff. I have to say, with our collaboration, it's something really unique, and I'm proud to say that. I think with our three brains together, I think we were able to come out with something that is irreparable. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
guess we are super early in early stage of the technology. All these discussions will happen, and we will fine tune, to use a term that they use in machine learning. We will fine tune the technology in itself, in its use, but there is no going back.
I'm sorry.
There
Yeah.
are, there are many levels or kinds of adoption, but what we can do and what we will can do in a short amount of time, what happened in the last year is amazing. So the next years will be like for me it's a new world. We were living in a
It's,
world until
yeah.
2022 and 23. There was this start of this change. In 24 is it's a completely new world. Everything is going to change.
Absolutely. It's a new order for sure.
Okay. Well, guys, it was a fantastic talk. I really appreciate that we were able to do this, everyone together. Really cool. I hope that you liked it. I'm sorry for any technical issues.
No,
Uh,
I don't think there was any.
Now I know we are all beginners here on our side in broadcasting and making lives. So there are some challenges, but we are very happy that you were willing to participate, and we had this amazing talk. We hope that everybody that's watching really likes it. It's really uncommon to see a team of people working on the same project in terms of AI, like you guys did. And I guess this is really new. It's really inspiring. Thank you very much for being here.
Muito
Thank you,
obrigado.
Paolo.
Thank you, Paolo.
Obrigado.
Have
Okay,
a
guys,
good day.
Obrigado.
Bye.
to you all, and I hope that you enjoy in Sintetica and you come to see other talks. And we have now a
We
new
will.
series called Sparks that is more technical oriented. So we have tips, tools, and techniques. So it should be every Wednesday. So I hope you guys like it, and thank you very much again.
Bye. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Paolo. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bom dia.